Weighing just 3 pounds, yet consuming 20% of our energy, the brain is not only the control center of our body, but also the seat of our thoughts, emotions, and memories. Welcome to our journey into the most complex organ in the human body, the brain. The human brain has undergone remarkable growth and development over millions of years. Increases in brain size, along with key structural changes, have allowed for our species' unique cognitive abilities. Continued research into the evolution of the human brain provides insight into what makes us human. Thousands of years ago, the brain was shrouded in mystery. As the centuries passed, detailed anatomical studies were carried out, mapping the brain with unrivaled accuracy, and discovered that different parts of the brain perform different functions and are made up of individual cells called neurons. The human brain, constantly buzzing with electrical activity, even when we sleep. But how do we measure these invisible waves of electricity? How can we peer into the brain without cutting into it? With the 20th century came the invention of powerful tools such as electroencephalography, EEG, and brain imaging techniques, a tool that revolutionized our understanding of brain activity. The motor cortex was mapped, revealing how different parts of the brain control specific physical activities. For the first time, we could see the inner workings of the brain, not just in theory, but in real time. People had enough understanding that every organ of the body is controlled by the brain, but how this connection between the brain and the body takes place, how the brain is made microscopic, there was not much clarity on this. Till 150 years ago, scientists believed that the network between the brain and the body is a continuous network, almost like the network of wires carrying electricity in a chain. With this information, we have gained a much better understanding of the human brain and the systems that spread throughout the body. Based on this understanding, many developments have taken place in the field of medicine, and today, based on this understanding, a unique technology is being developed. The name of this technology is Brain-Computer Interface, BCI. In short, it is called Neuralink by Elon Musk's company. The chip that is being implanted in humans is the result of this BCI technology. Using Neuralink, we are trying to understand BCI in depth. But before these devices, we will learn very briefly about the human brain, nervous system, and neurons. The human brain, an organ that is the center of our every emotion, thought, and action. Our every action, be it speaking or running, thinking or feeling, is all controlled by the brain. And all this work of the brain happens with the cooperation of the nervous system. The nervous system connects every part of our body to the brain. When you touch a hot object, the nerves in your nervous system immediately transmit that information to the brain. The brain reacts instantly and orders your hand to pull back immediately. This entire process is completed in a fraction of a second. Your brain is in constant communication with your body through the nervous system. The central nervous system includes the brain and spinal cord. Now we come to the real heroes of the nervous system, neurons. Neurons are special cells that communicate between the brain and the nervous system. Signal transmission between neurons occurs electrically and chemically. When a neuron sends a signal, it travels as an electrical pulse and reaches a tiny gap called a synapse. There, chemical messengers transmit it to the next neuron. There are many types of neurons, and each one has a different role. Neuroplasticity is another amazing property of neurons. This means that the brain can change itself according to new circumstances. When we learn something new, like playing the guitar or learning a new language, our neurons form new connections and strengthen old ones. This unique ability of the brain allows us to learn, remember, and even recover from injury. The complexity of the brain, nervous system, and neurons makes us realize every day the potential that lies hidden within us. Whether we are learning a new skill, listening to music, or just breathing, it is all powered by countless networks of neurons. We will try to understand the intricacies of a neuron by zooming in on it. Look, the chemical transactions I am talking about in a neuron are special kinds of chemicals called neurotransmitters. The chemicals related to the neuron that work for signal transmission are called neurotransmitters. For example, you must have heard the name of a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is responsible for things like pleasure, satisfaction, etc. This dopamine plays a very important role in forming habits. Anything that you do that you feel like doing again, it is because of dopamine. Eating food naturally releases dopamine in the body. Having sex, playing games, and watching good videos releases dopamine. Any activity that seems good and you feel like doing it again, it is because of dopamine. People who do drugs or get addicted to any kind of bad habit, this dopamine system gets hacked. There are 2 meters through which neurons communicate with each other. But now we have to understand where the electricity is generated during this. Generally, neurons have 2 ends. On one side, neurotransmitters like dopamine are accepted. This end is called dendrite, and the other end from where neurotransmitters are released is called axon. This is what happens in almost every neuron. Neurotransmitters come from dendrite, and neurotransmitters are released from axon, and electricity is generated between these 2. Electricity when the dendrite end of a neuron receives a particular type of neurotransmitter in sufficient quantity, then charged chemicals or ice flow between the neurons. As a result, electric voltage is generated here. This voltage is called action potential or spike in the language of neuroscience. This is also called nerve impulse. Neurons, this phenomenon of generation of electricity in the brain, is also called firing of neurons. You will often hear that neurons are firing, we are detecting spikes, there is some action potential. These are many names for the same thing: action potential, spike, impulse, fire. All of them mean the electricity of neurons which is being generated there. The point is that when a sufficient amount of action potential or spike is generated in a neuron, then the neuron releases another neurotransmitter from the end of its axon. Then the neurotransmitters coming out of this neuron go to the end of another neuron connected to it. An action potential is generated in that other neuron. Then that neuron fires. Then its axon releases a neurotransmitter, and in this way this chain of firing of neurons continues. So what scientists do is that they can spy on the brain's messages by detecting this electrical activity of neurons, those action spikes, and decoding their firing pattern, and this spying technology is called brain-computer interface, BCI. Today, neuroscience is on the cutting edge of innovation. Advances in brain-computer interfaces could one day allow us to control machines with our thoughts. The human brain, though small in size, contains vast potential and extraordinary capabilities. From controlling our body to shaping our thoughts, memories, and emotions, it remains the most powerful and mysterious part of who we are. As we continue to explore its secrets, one thing is certain: the human brain is an incredible masterpiece of nature. If you enjoyed learning about the incredible complexities of the human brain, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating documentaries on science and the wonders of the human body.